consulting with the town, I think, while they look for somebody.
Yeah.
It'll be in the budget, I would think.
Coming out of the line for the salary.
Her salary. You hit that, turn that mic on there. Yep. All right, we'll call the meeting to order. TV's on. Welcome to the Ware Finance Committee meeting for December 9th, 2025. We'll call the meeting to order at 6:31. Come on in. Don't sit down. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, just missing Neil, I think, so. Wait a minute.
Everybody's got their
All
special
right,
place.
before we go any further, we're going to review the November 25th draft meeting minutes for approval. Is there a motion to?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Lori, any second?
I'll second.
Okay, Kyle, beat you to it.
That's fine.
Were there any comments, questions, suggestions about the minutes?
I had one that I did send to Kate, it was super, super minor, but on the last page, there's 8, 14%. I think it's supposed to be 8.14%.
Good observation.
Comma to period.
Yep, they look pretty good to me, content-wise. Anything else? All those in favor of approving the minutes for November 25th, 2025, say yes or aye.
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 Any no? Abstain? Okay, that's 10-0-0. Missing Neil still. Okay, we're going to talk about the town budget and CIP items that were presented to us at the last meeting. But before we do that, we're going to have Library Director Clay Crease come up and walk us through his warrant article that he has that's going on the ballot. Welcome.
Thank you. I'll also introduce.
Is your mic on, Clay? Just the green light?
All right.
Thank you.
I'll also introduce the treasurer of our Board of Trustees, Josh Hilliard. And here, I'll go ahead and hand them out. Okay.
So this is a contract article, I imagine, right?
Yes. And it's on the reverse side. The warrant article is on the other side. Okay, I'll take it.
I want to thank you for your time today, and just give you a quick rundown of why we're asking for this warrant article, and provide you a handout with some figures as well. So I'll be brief again. My name is Josh Hilliard. I'm one of the trustees of the library here in town. I'm currently the treasurer. And I want to talk about why it's a good idea to make the assistant library position a full-time position. It's been a part-time position for many years. If you go to the back side of that handout we just provided, you'll see we have had increased physical circulation, electronic circulation, and total circulation over the last 2 years. We've seen some great improvements in terms of delivering services to the town and the constituents in town, all on really a pretty small budget here that the library has. They've done a great job, the staff we have. And why it's important to make this part-time position full-time is because of the expectations of that role. The expectations is that individual will be able to step into that director's role when the director is on vacation, is out sick. If for some reason Clay were to leave and not be, we would expect that person to be the interim director while we did a search for a new director. So all those things point towards professionalizing this position. It's been a part-time position for many years, and we have a concern both about retention and attracting talent in the future as well. I don't know if you're familiar that we have actually had 2 part-time employees leave this year, and when we did exit interviews with them, they both mentioned compensation being the #1 driver for them leaving. So we're having a hard time holding on to part-time employees, and the goal here is to turn this part-time employee that part-time position into a full-time position now and going forward. I'd like to turn your attention to, as well, to the front page of this handout, where we provide some comparison of towns that serve similar populations. We took a slice of 7 to 12,000, with Ware about right in the middle. And you'll see not only do we have a breakdown of full-time positions, the population size, and their lowest full-time and highest full-time hourly wage, you'll see we have the averages down at the bottom. So right now, we have 2 full-time positions in Ware. If you see Ware's down towards the bottom of that handout, serving a population of a little over 9,000. And the average with libraries this size is 3.2, given the 0.2, given the differences here, of about a similar population size, and also less wages, you'll see. We're a little bit below the average. But I'll really stress that this town gets a great bargain for its library. They punch way above their weight in terms of both circulation and events and attendance at those events. And I'd really like to stress, too, the quality of the materials we have in the library. We receive an astounding amount of interlibrary loan requests that we send out and honor for other patrons across the state to get some of our materials as well. Just shows the strength of the collection we have with our limited budget here. So, because of these reasons, we really think it's important to professionalize, like I said, that position and make it a full-time position. The last thing I'd like to leave you with, if you go back to that back page, you'll see some of the great figures we have in terms of the reporting libraries in New Hampshire and where we rank. Again, with a relatively small budget in a small town, we do fantastic work. The warrant article in particular, I want to talk about the figures in the warrant article. You'll see that the annual increase cost is $35,000. That would be if the position were to be full-time and include benefits for a family, not just an individual. If this were to happen, I don't believe that would be the cost going forward. It wouldn't be $35,000 these next few years, provided the person who's in that role now stayed there. But we want to be transparent to the town. That would be the highest it could be going forward in terms of a full benefits package for a family. Last year, we had a bit of a wage surplus. We provided just shy of $9,000 back to the town. I expect this year it's going to be about the same for the library. And so if this were to pass, I don't expect it to actually be the full $35,000 going forward, and we'd again be returning that surplus to the town. But we want to make it clear that this could be the exposure to the town should someone be in this position and elect to have health benefits for their entire family. Happy to take any questions on it.
Can you remind me, it's a part-time position?
Correct.
How many hours is it currently?
So the employee currently works, correct me if I'm wrong, is it 36 and a half?
37 and a half
37.
hours, so it will increase 1/2 hour.
I'm sorry, it'll increase,
1/2 hour, yes. Yeah, 30 minutes a week.
So they get benefits? Is that the difference?
Right.
That's a big difference,
Yes,
yep.
it's for the benefits. Yes, Neil?
What will the total cost be? This 35,000 represents the increase, but what would the total cost of the position be?
Total cost, don't hold me to this directly, but I want to say with benefits,
Yep.
if we were to go with the full benefits package, provided they elect for family coverage,
Right here.
I want to say it's like 75. Is that right, Clay?
Okay, so the total cost of the position is where did I put it down?
Well, that's the wages. We're going to consider the benefits.
Yeah,
so.
right, yeah, well, I was just saying, so you can add the number, yeah. So the wage, so currently the wages are $43,600. If we increase this position another 30 minutes, it would go up to 44,200. So add that 44,200 plus the 35,800, so that's, so 44 plus 35, and then add another one to that, whatever that is.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It comes out to $80,095
Yes.
Yep.
or $45.
Ms. Lawrie?
When you're writing this warrant article, we've seen a lot of warrant articles come through. You've lived in the town for a while, so you know how this is written. I would like to see that all this information is put forward so that the people know exactly what the real cost is. Because right now it's not there and people think it's gonna be 35,000, and that's not correct.
Even though it says annual increase, it doesn't say annual cost, it's, okay.
So if I may, the majority of the wages are already accounted for in the library budget. So this would be the increase. This includes, the figures we have here include the wage increase, which is minor, given the move to full-time. In addition to if someone in the position were to elect to have benefits for a family versus an individual.
I understand that.
Yep.
But when we do warrant articles, generally speaking, we find out, just like Neil asked, what is the full load? Because the average person doesn't know these kinds of things. And when they find out on the tail end, after it's done, what it is, it can be sticker shock for them. So what I'm saying is I would like to see much more clarity. Another question I have is, why is the board head of the trustees doing this, and why isn't?
I thought it'd be wise for me to come as a trustee and explain our position and our discussion, and that I was comfortable talking about these figures.
Yeah, not that I'm not comfortable about talking about them as well, so. But
May I ask a question of you?
Sure.
As to revisions, is that something you'd be able to provide some guidance or assistance as to how you might like to see that changed? I'd happy to get feedback and work with you.
You can go to the town administrator, or I think, isn't it currently, my mind is gone from last night? Who's backing up Naomi? Beth.
Naomi Beth?
Beth will be able to do that for you, because we're not in that position. But
Understood.
they do this all the time, so they
Understood.
can certainly help you draft it and make sure everything's clean and neat and clear.
Understood, certainly.
Make it much easier for you to present.
Do you care if I make a comment?
Please go ahead.
So I'm an alternate library trustee, so I attend the meetings, but I don't vote on anything unless they need me to. And so I do have a little bit of background on this, and actually Beth suggested the first draft of this article was much less clear than this. It included using some of the surplus payroll to pay for part of the cost, and so the costs weren't actually, it showed it being a lot less than what the actual costs were.
Right.
So the trustees actually went through and changed it to be the true cost without using the payroll to change that number around, the excess payroll to change
Right,
that number around.
but
So this is,
now they
this is
need to
at
clean
least
it
the-
up again.
This is at least the true the true increase. So I just wanted to say that they did the right thing and at least changing it from what was suggested by
But
Beth.
now they need to make it a lot more clear. But I get what you're saying. It's always interesting when you've never written these to see how they have to, where they have to end up versus starting out doing what you're doing. It's always interesting.
Right, but
Certainly.
we also want to make sure we word it in a way to where the town doesn't think we're increasing it $88,000 or whatever $80,000 it is, so.
We can also elaborate in our recommendation slash, whatever, however we go in the recommendation, we can elaborate on that too, just to expand. So, Neil?
My calculations show that this proposal would give us a 1.3% increase in the amount of time the person spent on the job and an 84% increase in the cost. Why would you propose something that's extremely expensive?
It's important for us to be competitive with the other libraries in the region and also to maintain retention.
I think, as I had said earlier, Neil, I think the important thing here too is recognizing that this is a professional position that really should be a career. And right now, it's really set up as a part-time job. What we're looking for, what the position really demands, is someone who's able to step into the role of the director when needed. And given those responsibilities, it really should be a professional job that provides for that career security.
Similar to my job, like if my benefits were removed, I wouldn't be able to work here. And I think you would have a difficulty finding a qualified director.
You all set, Neil?
Thank you.
Maria?
If this job was posted externally, what would be the education requirements for the person that you're hiring?
It just depends on experience.
Okay, so it
I
would be
would
like you,
base it more on experience in education, because it's been my experience that the years in the different positions that you work at a library is much more valuable than any kind of graduate degree that you can get.
okay, so there's no, like, you have to have a bachelor's or a master's or, okay.
Not necessarily.
Regarding the amount, 35,845, is that the maximum amount based on the individual presuming to get full benefits with a full family?
Correct.
Okay, so I'm curious if it would make sense to perhaps add breakpoints if the the individual was to not accept full benefits, just individual, what that increase would be if it's lower than the 35, and then full capacity, assuming full family, at the 35, with a total position cost, with the detail that you had just provided in terms of the surpluses and changes to the budget, to allow for clarity and transparency as to this is what the full package would look like if this individual did accept full benefits. This is where it stands now, as you noted, and then this is where it would stand if we only accepted individual benefits, and I would imagine that would fall somewhere in between.
It would be an increase of about 12,000 a year, which is what we anticipate the current person is told me in confidence that she is just going to use it for herself. But again, we want to be sure going forward that if we hired someone else in the position, we want the town to know that it could go up, given the family plan, yes.
We've had this come back to us before a couple of years ago. My question is, are we doing this for a particular employee to retain, or are you actually going to put it out to bid?
So,
Are you looking at a pool of people possibly to hire? Is this going to be an open position, or are you planning to do this from within and you're doing this to appease that person?
so it would be a reclassification of the position, so we wouldn't be looking to hire as it stands now. But what we were looking to do is put this in place for the individual that's there now. Should they leave, it'd be, of course, available to anyone who would apply.
Why wouldn't you have a search and get the best possible person?
Because what we're looking to do, Neil, like I said, is reclassify that position. I don't think there's a concern that the individual who's in the assistant director role now cannot meet the expectations of the role or the trustees. So there's not a concern on that front from the trustees at this point.
It's in the same way that Josh you're not currently searching for a director, right? Because I'm already in the role, and hopefully not. So,
How many employees are currently at the library?
let's see here, we have myself, Dina, Karen.
You're full,
We're
you're obviously,
gonna hire a new person. and-
without this position being reclassified, you're full-time.
Right.
Any other full-time?
Karen is full.
The children's librarian.
Children's library, okay. See, that's the
The-
two full-time.
the
Yeah,
two
so
full-time
there are
rest-
How
two
many other
full-time.
part-times?
Okay, we have, we're going to hire a new person. We have Jane, Sandy. So, three.
So you have three part-timers, two full-timers.
Yes.
Correct.
The other full-timer, she gets benefits as well, because she's full-time?
Yes, she does, but, she chooses not because she gets it through her.
The position,
husband.
because
The
sometimes
position.
people take,
Position.
but the
Right,
position
yeah, the
is
position,
full-time
correct.
and would have benefits, okay.
Yes. Mhm.
Have you ever had a full-time assistant going back years?
No.
No.
Okay.
But the
Let
library
me-
was not the same back then.
Let me qualify that answer by saying, when in the past we have not had a director, the assistant director has stepped up and filled that role in a full-time
That was
position.
the last 10 years, yeah.
Correct.
Right.
But ordinarily, no.
Yeah. If you're not able to reclassify this position, what's the impact on the library?
The concern is twofold, both retention of employees and making this a competitive, like I said, professional position that strengthens the
Yeah, we're looking
library
for
in terms of
It's
our
an investment
growth.
for the future.
Yeah, how long has the part-time assistant been there now?
15
10,
years.
15
Yeah,
years.
about 15 years.
Is it likely that person's gonna leave if they don't get the benefits?
I don't know, it's a potential. We've had concerns, just given that we've lost a number of part-time people this year, and so we have concerns as the trustees to make sure we're staying competitive in the core of people that really provide a lot of the institutional knowledge for the library remain.
But I guess my biggest concern is sort of like the numbers that Neil cited, is are we creating a position that's gonna add services to the community, or are we creating a position that's gonna more likely in the future allow us to fill that position should it become vacant? And in the meantime, allow the person that's there now to get the benefit. When we're looking at taxpayers and the amount of taxes and how they've gone up, 8% a year each of the last 3 years, everybody's looking at sticker shock every year. And I just look at this, and I think the library does a great job. I go down there myself at times, and I think the people are there fine, but I think it's a tough sell with the other priorities that come up, unless there's the sky's gonna fall if we don't do this, you know?
I don't wanna take that, the sky's gonna fall
Yeah.
perspective on it, though, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, as opposed to, let's say, the plow truck's falling apart, and we didn't get one last year because we made a call here. We said, we recommended no, take a pause, and that word creates tremors, shall we say, because people think, we can't plow the roads. So we're looking at plowing roads versus a nice to have, I think. That's the way I kind of look at it. So, I mean, if the person there, say now, has been there for 15 years, if that person doesn't like to leave, it will be a loss. But another person coming in may be there for another 15 years and happy to work part-time. I just think it's a tough sell.
It is uncertain.
Yeah.
We have a couple things that are coming through. We've got schools, and if you haven't been following it, you should. There's a lot of money coming across that one. There's a lot coming in for the taxpayers. The town has a budget that they need. Your department will be affected by that. We have a plow truck coming. We have a police cruiser coming. Businesses by nature do not just write a bump up to a position for a future possible need to hire down the road. I've been involved with business for years. My husband's involved. I have friends that own businesses. I kind of feel, and I'm not taking anything away from the person who does this, I understand we all would like to be compensated more than we are. I'm concerned that this could cost other things going down the pike, and I don't think, in my personal opinion, a 1.3% increase in work value for an 84%, did you say, Neil?
Yes.
That's not a good business investment from my standpoint. And I have grave concerns about us looking at it in that way.
I think personnel is a valuable investment, not only currently, but again, looking towards the future too.
Can I ask you a quick question? Just,
I don't think this is going to pass regardless of our recommendation. I think as a strategy, you should rethink whether you even want to file it. This is what, the second or third time you've done this?
This is the second time, but as you've said, that sometimes it takes 2 or 3 times to get the town to vote.
That's true,
So,
but I
right.
think that if you get it defeated again, you're putting yourself in a worse position for the future. I think you might consider holding off until the position is vacant, and then the argument that Josh made carries a heck of a lot more weight.
how would this compare to the current director's salary? Just ballpark percentage difference, do you know?
About 25%?
Yeah, so I make 65,000, and then my benefits is, I take the family plan, so.
So that the 80K that we talked about was current salary plus increase, plus, the increase at the max benefits. Okay.
Are these overtime eligible positions, and are they currently, and are they salaried, or will they be salaried?
Elizabeth, can you speak up just a little more so I can hear that?
Are these salaried positions, if they go
No.
full-time, are they overtime
It-
eligible?
No, we're not, it's in our policy not to do overtime, so.
Just to reiterate, the 35,000 includes benefits. The person isn't getting the extra in there. Their salary isn't gonna be 80,000. It's gonna be, yeah, okay, just wanted to
Yeah, it's
make
combined.
that clear.
That's the complete cost.
Yeah.
Maria, the salary now is 42,600. The salary would go up to 44,200, they told us.
43.6.
Yeah, 43.6.
43,600 to 44,200.
Plus the 35,
And the rest of the money is the benefits.
retirement, health care.
Okay, any other questions?
Not so much a question, more of an observation. This seems to me more about giving somebody benefits than it is anything else. My question is, if this were to pass, are they also going to get the increase if we pass a raise to everybody too,
Yes,
on top of this?
yes. That's how, that always happens, yeah. If it's 3%, everyone gets 3%, 5%, everyone gets 5%. My whole staff and myself included. Which is cost of living, you know, inflation and everything, so.
Hypothetical.
Yeah.
Could you, the current vacant position, the part-time position that you're advertising for, could you hypothetically close that and then take those funds and then make this a full-time position and reallocate funds without having to essentially put a warrant article out for this?
Well, the new position is because we've recently lost a person, so it's not increasing our wages any.
You just close that position? and
No,
just-
it's just that someone left the position and we're hiring a new person to replace that one, so.
And this assistant director cannot take that role or take that under their
No,
administrative tasks?
I've always kept the staff at a minimum necessary to cover our operations.
But to address your question, I'm not sure we could do that without sort of authorization from the town, given that we'd be binding the town in some way to pay for the insurance and retirement and things like that. I'm not sure that, to address your question in terms of eliminating that position and sort of moving those funds over towards this endeavor, that would probably get close, actually, and there wouldn't be a significant, if any, increase, but I'm not sure we'd be able to do that, to bind the town in that way, to pay that in perpetuity going forward, just ourselves. Maybe we could, but that's something I need to explore. So I don't have a great answer for you.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because I may be getting this wrong. You lost a person, correct? Somebody left?
Two people, actually.
Okay.
This year, 2 people have left, but we've hired to replace the first person, and we're currently hiring to replace the second person.
Okay, so this person for this position, is this person taking anybody else's duties who was left?
No,
No. If this doesn't go through, will you still be able to function as you are now? So like if you're out for a 6-day, somebody can figure it out.
right, but I mean, I want to, again, hire for the best personnel, not only to keep the best personnel, but to attract the best personnel.
But this
Again,
is
this
not
brings
going
us
out
up-
to bid, correct?
Correct.
No, it's not, right.
No.
And I also just, if you consider what the other libraries are doing in our state, this brings us up to that standard.
That it for questions?
I think so.
Okay.
Great. Thank you for your
Thanks
time.
very much for the information. We'll deliberate on it with all the other town budget and warrant article, CIP, and so on.
So we should stay for that deliberation as well?
We're gonna talk it over and talk about all the other town issues as well. You can stay and surely stay and listen, and if somebody here wants to ask a question of you, I guess they could, but,
Okay, good.
but it's a public meeting, so yes, for sure.
I appreciate your time and the good questions as well.
Right, yeah, thank you.
Okay. So on the agenda tonight, we have time set aside to talk about all of the stuff that was presented to us at the last meeting. We can also discuss this. If people want to continue discussing this now, we can. Or we can put it off and go back to the other town. I don't know if anybody has anything they want to bring up. We asked a lot of questions, so are we clear on this issue for now? Neil?
I think we should discuss this now, because if these guys are going to stay, there's no
That's
point in them
Right. Yep.
waiting 4 hours till we get to.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
Well, I didn't know, no, I didn't imply that they should hang around, but I didn't know if there was any other discussion that people had.
I'd like to ask a
Let's do it.
question,
I think it's a great, plus it's fresh.
I know they're staying around to hear the discussion. Unless we ask them a question, they're not,
No, it's,
this
right,
is not tag
Deliberation.
team.
right,
Okay,
right. It's committee discussion at this point.
okay.
Yeah, if we want to ask them a question, we can, but it's not a dialogue anymore.
One other question, Tom.
Yes.
Do we discuss warrant articles before we have a formal warrant? For example, if they decide that they don't want to put this on the warrant,
We don't have to vote on it. We can discuss it,
Yeah,
if that's where you're going.
well, I didn't know what you wanted to do with all of these warrant articles that may be coming up. Do we wait till do we discuss the article and react to it when it's in a preliminary stage? For example, they may change some of the wording. Or do we wait until the warrant has been finalized and then do it? Or do we do it at both times?
We only have so many meetings. Next meeting is, we're going to be hearing from the superintendent on the school districts.
What's the date of that?
That's the 23rd,
right before Christmas.
Christmas Eve.
Us discussing them, Neil, could help shape
Yep.
what happens with them, too.
They may be listening and hear our input and
Yeah, the
decide,
Board of Selectmen might find some of this interesting.
yeah, just like these gentlemen are here.
Correct.
And so the schools will be coming up, and that'll take the entirety of the next meeting.
Okay.
And then we have another meeting a week after that to, we have to make sure we vote on these things and have enough time to write up the recommendations. So I think we have to use this time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bill's excited about that.
No, I only did the school portion last year.
Right. We're trying not to make Bill do everything.
Bill's not gonna be.
Bill's not gonna be here forever. He's gonna be,
Yeah, like this is it. I have to sit out next year, and I'm not planning on
I'll be back.
coming back.
well, yeah, it's a,
You will, no, just a second, you will leave your computer to us. Or at least send the appropriate
Okay,
items
just
to our
here,
secretary.
here, just,
put your brain on the table.
okay, what's left of it?
All right, let's open up discussion on the library full-time increase warrant, if there's any.
I have a comment. I think just out of respect of human decency and respect for an employee that served 15 years of service, they should be getting benefits. I don't think that's something that should be, it's just, it seems like it's something that should be offered.
I would agree that there's value in the tenure of 15 years, understanding the organization, the town, the community, and those are intangibles that you can't necessarily gross up in a position. And yet to replace that, I would be curious what a bid would look like. I would think that it would have to come in either comparable or higher. It'd probably be, just based on markets, closer to all in 90 to 100,000 versus what it would cost for an increase for benefits, just based on these averages.
I think it would, it's one thing if they are only working like 20 hours right now and, doubling the time that they're doing, but they're like basically working full-time anyways. It just seems like the decent thing to do.
There's a benefit and a salary increase in this, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So the benefits, there's really no room for that. Either they get them or they don't, pretty
Right.
much. Depending on the family size, but there is salary in here that could be, no? Do I understand it?
Salary increase is based on the fact that the person is going to be doing an extra half an hour.
Yeah,
It's not an increase in pay, it's an increase in time.
So most of it's benefits.
Yep, it's really
Almost all of it.
offering them
Almost all of it.
benefits.
That's really almost all of it, right? There's no room for salary tweaking here.
However, to Lori's point, they would receive that COLA increase, though, if that was voted, so that would be in an extra increase after the fact.
Is there one
Is that
on the
correct?
warrant this year?
Probably.
If I may, going back to your suggestion, if the library wanted to, it could not fill the vacant position, take that money and use it to increase the salary, not the time, not the benefits, the salary of this position, if the library felt that that was appropriate, without any additional cost to taxpayers.
But Neil, you're not taking into consideration the work that's being done by the part-time person. Who's gonna pick that up?
No, this part-time person would continue being a part-time person, would get, as Elizabeth was saying, would just simply get more money.
There's another
The other-
part-timer, though, that you're taking it from.
No, I understand,
No,
but the
I'm-
work
I'm-
doesn't go away because
No,
you're giving someone
right.
else.
No, I know,
No,
I agree with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they may decide that they can't do that because of because of the point you made. As far as I'm concerned, this is premature. I would wait until the position became vacant. They made a determination that they wanted a full-time position and put that up to the voters as a full-time position, not simply giving a current person more benefits, but more importantly, philosophically and practically, we've got an 8+% increase proposed by the schools. We're going to have to approve trucks and police cars, and we're going to see our tax rate go up very substantially. While this is a small amount of money relative to a couple of $100,000 for a truck, a little bit here and a little bit there starts to add up.
John Stark will
I
have,
don't see that this is something that we can afford. The library will continue to function as it is now if this is not approved.
I have to agree with everything Neil said, but also from a business standpoint, when you take a full-time job, you take it knowing that there's going to be benefits. When you take a part-time job, you know that you do not have benefits. That's part of what you take when you take specific jobs. And companies and towns cannot survive with, we give raises every year, but if you start handing out benefits to everybody who's been here because they've been good and it's a nice thing to do, the taxpayers are going to go broke. I keep hearing about COLA, cost of living, and that's really nice that everybody says cost of living and we're going to give our employees a cost of living raise. But the question is, the people who are giving it are the taxpayers. So their cost of living raise is not their cost of living raise, it's going to everybody else's on top of their stuff. And at what point do we look and say, the taxpayers can only bear so much? As Neil pointed out, we've got to have a cruiser, we've got to have a plow truck, because nobody can get anything done in this town without roads, police, and fire. That's a fact. The budget here is going up, and they've worked very hard on their budget, but the schools are astronomical. And correct me if I'm wrong, Tom, but do we not have 4 contracts being voted on? Three?
2 John Stark and 1 Ware teacher contract.
Those aren't gonna be small. They're huge ticket items. And I don't think that this is a climate that we can afford to do this right now.
I don't think that you should take it out on the library, because the school is astronomically there, to be fair.
Just-
Yeah, that's the sad
So-
part of this.
Jessica?
Yeah,
I know.
so, having reclassified a lot of positions, the challenge is to focus on the position and not the person. So the question really is this a position, and putting aside, I know there's a lot of big expensive things, but just if looking at this, the question is really, is this a position that should be full-time with benefits or not, regardless of who's in it and how long they've been there? and whether it's vacant or not. It's about the position, so that's really what
So
the
if
focus
they're
should be.
working basically full-time, they should have benefits.
It doesn't, stop. It doesn't matter, like, you have to separate it. It's about the position. If this is a position, given what they're doing and the expectations, if it should be full-time, then that's the focus. Should it be full-time with benefits, or is it appropriate to stay as it is? That's the question about the position. You have to take the person out of it, and I know it's challenging,
They're working full-time, basically.
but they're not.
Did not.
If I may respond to that, it goes both ways. This position could go either way. The position in the past, as a part-time position, has functioned as a director when the director was absent. Could it be classified as a full-time position? So, since it's stepping into the place of a full-time position as an assistant? Sure, but it also can function this way. So, I'm not sure that this position has to be one or the other.
But that's sort of the question before us is, you know,
You make it.
yeah.
But since it could be either, why not decide the issue in favor of the taxpayer and say, let's do the
Yeah,
lower.
I'm taking that out of it. I mean, I have to,
Oh.
I have to say, Neil, given everything, regardless of how I feel about the position itself, given everything else, I'm kind of inclined to not recommend it myself. So I'm taking that out. I'm just saying, because there's talk about looking at the person who's there, and that it needs to be separated. It's about the position, not the person. But yes, we all have to take into consideration the impact on the taxpayer and that type of thing, and all the other things. I'm just saying, it's helpful, and I know it's challenging, but you have to look at the position itself, and that's the question that's really before us. It's taking the person out of it.
Under the parameters that you set, an assistant who's supposed to take the place of a superior should have the same status. In other words, if we were starting with the library from scratch, we probably should have made this a full-time position, because as an assistant director, you expect the person to substitute for the director. You presumably want the same kind of status and responsibilities and commitment, and the fact that there would be no overtime.
Right, and the fact that it's only a half hour under that tells me it was by design, likely, to have it be that. And I agree, if things were different, I might be very much in favor of it. It's just on balance with everything else that's coming. I don't know that this is the right time to add this on top of everything else, personally.
Anybody else? Okay. Move on.
You don't want to do a vote or something?
Do we, well, last year, just for context, we didn't vote until we had the slate of all,
Like to have
everything.
everything.
Yeah,
We're not, we don't have really much tangible information on the schools yet. We have some, and some of it's out there, but
Well, no, I thought you were going to go through all of the town things tonight, and we were going to vote on them.
we can deliberate on them. Whether we vote on them is up, well, it's not mine to dictate, but we have not been doing that for the past 4 years. We've been putting the tally sheet together and then voting on, revisiting and voting, like a second pass, really, but there's a little bit of a gap this year because of the meetings. In the past, we would have had the school in probably since before now, and we would have done some voting tonight, but we don't have the full picture. We really don't have the full picture, so if people want to vote, we can go for that, but I would not want to vote personally.
Okay.
I don't know I would like to see what the total tally is for the estimated tax increase with with everything. And then I like to work backwards from that sometimes, But that's just me.
Yeah, and the other thing is, as a finance committee, you're right, he's right, but the fact of the matter is, it's not our job to decide if something should be full-time or part-time.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
It's the
That's
request.
somebody else's problem.
And there's nothing to say we can't vote on anything and then bring it up for another vote later, once we get more information. We agreed in the past that we would do that, and we did it after deliberative on one thing last year, and the police tasers, I think, changed, and we re-voted on something. So we can always vote to open up a vote, a revote.
We had fun with that last year.
Yeah.
I think we need to digest. Like, I don't, we should be voting on something the same day that they present it to us, because you might feel different about it tomorrow. I
Sure.
don't know.
Yeah, good point.
We have all the other items from the last meeting, and as I understand it, there's more warrant articles coming our way from the town that we have not even heard yet. I don't know, we're gonna have to figure out when we do that, but that's, so we don't even have the complete picture on the town at the moment. We just have CIP and budget.
I can give you update on
And one
warrant articles
contract.
if you need them.
I'd like to see materials, but
Right.
has it been published? I haven't seen,
Well, they've been done, the warrant article
the
for
selectmen,
highway was last night.
yeah.
Last week was fire. So the Board of Selectmen have to do some homework on it. Fire basically wants to be able to do some raises and do some contractual stuff. That's something that's gonna have to be, they have to do a lot more research on the Board of Selectmen's side before that comes forward. There has to be some
Yeah.
issues.
So let's not go down that path, because we don't have official
They
materials in
have a
front of
lot of
us.
fleshing out to do before those come forward.
What we do have is budget and CIP from last year. We've already talked about the library contract, so,
Does anybody, like, if we had any discussion on the library budget within the town budget while they're here, and they can just leave?
we could, yeah. Yep, in the proposed.
I got everything from all 3 years.
That's good. I do somewhere.
Reminds me to find anything.
So the library default to proposed is 2.22%. I don't know how that, off the top of my head, compares to last year. Actually, I can find it here in this next,
What
So is it-
number was that?
don't know.
It was near the end, right?
At the very end. 596. This just gives expenses from last year, it doesn't give the total budget from last year.
Is that this one? Or no?
Yep.
So,
Oh, that's the 5-year look back.
yeah. Is that what you're looking for?
I was looking for the increase in the library budget from last year's budget to this proposed.
Can we ask them a question about
Yeah,
that?
you can ask him.
As the trustees, do you have last year's versus this year and where the increases are?
Yeah,
Please.
I have one copy, so,
We don't have that, so we're a little floundering here.
yeah.
It's basically the operating budget.
And I also just want to let you know that the operating budget includes anticipated funds from a fundraising campaign. So the increased cost to taxpayers is $4,901, even though the increase in total operating is $73.69. So if that makes any sense.
So you have revenue that you're gonna apply directly to the library?
Right, we're anticipating fundraising a certain
Oh.
amount, so that's in our, we include that in our operating budget.
Sure.
Even though it's not going to make the tax money come up.
If I may address the committee. One of the things we're trying to do better in the library is fundraising, and one of the things we realized under the RSA is we're supposed to account for intended fundraising funds in our budget, so we can be clear as to what we're expecting to fundraise for. So that's why you see that the actual tax increase is very small. There's things we're hoping to fundraise. If we don't fundraise for them, they're not going to happen, but it's important to be in compliance with the RSAs to include that as part of the budget. So I just wanted to make that clear.
That's great. Thank you.
Anybody else wanna see this?
I would love to see it.
You guys get a chance to read it?
No, let's see it first. Let her
Yeah,
see it
pass
first.
over.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're talking about the library specifically right now. While we're passing that around, is there any discussion on the town proposed budget as we saw it presented last meeting?
I'm sorry, I was looking at this, what did you say?
I was asking if there were any comments about the general proposed budget for the town. Since we're limited to one person at a time looking at this, don't want to sit here. It's a 4.13% increase over the default.
Can I ask them a
Calculated
question
default.
on their budget? When you have a chance?
Yeah, hold on, Neil, 1 second. You have a question on that?
Yeah. On page room improvements, you're going from 16,000 to 24,000. What is that for?
All right, it's for insulation, chairs, and windows.
Stuff you have to have.
And it was based on, some of that was based on an energy audit that happened.
Right, we did have an energy audit back in March, yes,
And the outdoor learning platform?
yes. Mhm.
I don't.
Yeah, it's gonna be like kind of a stage to do outdoor events.
Okay.
Right.
Okay,
Good? Neil?
you guys want to look at it?
Just so folks know, the document you're looking at does not have a very vital piece of information, which is the budget for 2025. In the past, what we've done is compare the proposed budget with the current budget. You can't do that with these numbers. That has set it up so you're only comparing the proposed budget with the default budget. But that's not what, in the past, has been the key thing that has informed us. So I had asked her, and I believe she sent a copy to everyone, for this document with the 2025 budget included. Have you printed it out?
That's what you have there.
I have it.
The last meeting.
Do you know how to work with copies?
Yes. Okay. That's the key one for us to look at. So we know from the taxpayer's point of view, what is the increase compared to what they're currently paying? Not comparing the proposed increase of one budget with the proposed increase of a second budget. That's what Beth has done.
And you've got
But
that
for
right.
taxpayers, it's the 26 budget versus the 25 budget. It's the default budget versus the 25 budget. So if you go for a default, I don't have the numbers in front of me. If you go for a default budget, it's an X% increase if you compare to what you're currently paying. And if you go for the proposed budget, it's a Y% increase compared to what you're currently paying.
Jessica has it, we might get her to print it out for us.
But apparently Bill has them. Is this for the summary for everything?
Well, it's got it for each of the thing, but library is right here. You know, you're looking at that operating budget line, and you go over here, and you got the 2025 budget, which is what you're talking about.
Right.
Mind if I
41.
read it with you?
In small print.
Before we go too much further, are there any other questions any other discussion on the library, or any questions particularly for the director? So we can let them go if they choose to. You can stay, but it just doesn't seem like we have any direct questions.
Good, or I could go to bed, you know? But I appreciate it, thank you for your time, and
Thank you for
Thanks.
coming.
Yep, yeah, you're welcome. Yep, you have a Merry Christmas. If I don't see you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Did you wanna?
So their budget is up 6.3%. Their proposed budget is 6.3% higher than their current budget, but that presumably includes the extra money that they're talking about raising separately, so that's not probably a fair comparison.
And the current budget is a default budget,
Right,
correct?
right.
Which is
Their approved budget for
it's
last year.
slight
was
increase
the
from-
default budget.
yeah,
It also includes all the voter-approved COLA
Did you want this
raises,
back?
like
right, those are,
You can have it.
Okay.
Yeah, if you want to hold on to that, and sorry I didn't have more copies, but.
It's fine.
and do you have a default, a current budget to default, Neil? Have you done that?
So I think that did that somewhere, but current budget to default, well,
Yeah.
I would do the default to the approved, which is,
No, 2025 budget to the 2026 default is the one that,
yeah, and that is 3.8%.
and the difference between the two is 4.13. That's the number that's on the sheet.
Well, no, that's the difference between the default and the proposed.
Correct, that's what I meant, that's what I said. So it really, I mean, the difference between the default and proposed for next year is good to know, but you also have to look at what is the step up on the budgets from last year, basically, what are we looking at? But I think you also have to consider the fact that it is a default budget last year, which is just a slight increase from the year before, right?
Yeah.
For contractual, and
2 years in a row, but he.
COLA raises, as Kate mentioned, too. Warrant articles that were contract-based.
Just so folks know, this relates to the school district, and this is from the December 4th Union Leader. This is front page headline from Merrimack. More than 20 school district jobs hang in the balance. What they're proposing to do is to bring in a proposed budget that's lower than the default budget because they've had a default budget for so many years. And that's the way Merrimack is trying to get out of the default budget position. And in fact, that's what one of our school districts, the Ware School District, did a few years ago.
Yeah, a few years ago, they,
they did it last year.
Last year.
last year,
They did it last year, but that was.
That was strategic.
a little different, but, yeah.
Tricky stuff.
What happened a few years before that, too?
Yeah.
Was,
Yeah, okay.
Was where,
That was the year that they wanted a labor contract passed.
Might have been, I can't say for sure, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
They tended to come in lower because they had, well, we'll see this year, but
No, this year they're,
this year we've seen, we've got 3 potential contracts coming in. And the budget proposed is like 3%, but we don't need to get into all that. The reason it's 3% is the school bond issue is done. So if you took that out of it, it was really about 8%, don't know what it would have been from the previous year.
our school district is not planning to follow the Merrimack example. And our town apparently is not planning to follow the Merrimack example.
there's a bit of a jump in John Stark budget this year, too. Proposed, if you compare last year's proposed to this year's proposed, forgetting about what passed and all that, it's like a 6% increase. You know, if their budget passed last year, which did it? I forget, where was default? John Stark, I think, was proposed, got passed.
What was the jump with John Stark, Tom,
6.1.
specifically?
Oh, thank you, Clay. I don't have that breakdown in front of me right now.
Okay.
But we'll hear about that next time, in a couple weeks, but,
Okay.
yeah.
I think it did pass last year.
I'll tell you
John
in a second.
Stark? Yeah, I think it did.
Yeah.
So that's That's a bigger jump than we've seen from John Stark in the years.
Yeah.
It's been like 3.3, 2.3, 2.6. This year, it's double that.
Do you know, is that because of the insurance issue?
Insurance is a big part of it, yeah. I can't give you a complete answer, but
We'll find out.
we'll find out in a couple weeks.
That kind of takes us to the town discussion of talking about insurance. I would have really liked to have seen, I mean, Laura's brought it before, I would have liked to have seen them shop around a little bit for insurance, since that's such a huge increase in this year's budget. I don't know why they didn't.
I think when you're shopping insurance, you kind of need to know the field, and you need to know what you're going to be shopping for. This board is working very hard to become much more informed with the departments and the people than I've seen. They want us to ask as many questions as possible, and vice versa, which is an interesting give and take we haven't always had. And I think with the change between Naomi leaving, Beth is interim, and they're starting to interview for somebody else, a lot of changes came. We changed two selectmen out. All those things nobody had the prep to do it. Prior to that, I can't tell you. But I think going forward, they definitely got the message that they need to go shopping, and that is in the works. But, yeah,
The insurance is 38% of the town increase.
Insurance is terrible.
38% of the requested increase. It's going up 25% from last year. Legal expenses went up 40%. It's a small number, but the insurance is really the big hit. The police went up just 2.75. You stayed under the 3. Fire department went 3.57. Other big, the highway on-call bonus, the $3,000 bonus kicked up the highway a little bit.
I don't love that bonus for transfer station employees. I know they're also on call. I get that they would have to show up once to shovel before, but it's not the same as being on call for plow any day of the week, any time of day. I don't know. It's a different situation, I think.
Are you sure about that? About the on-call and what they're on-call for and for how long they're on-call?
I mean, I think what Jason had said was that for the transfer station employees, they needed to be there early on a day where if they were scheduled to work on a day where there was a storm, then they needed to be there to help open the transfer station up, to have it ready for people at opening time. So you're showing up early, you're on call in that regard, but it's not like you need to show up at 11 p.m. because there's a storm happening right now on Christmas Day. I mean, the transfer station's not open.
I was very unclear in my understanding. I think perhaps we ought to understand exactly what it is that the extra money's going for
I
before.
thought it was the plow drivers.
It's for the
But,
plow
was it-
people.
There is one for the plow people, and there's a separate line in the transfer station budget for the transfer station employees, an on-call bonus for that too, that's also
Yep.
$3,000 a person.
and you're talking about the transfer station and not the plow
It's in,
drivers?
look, it's in the.
No, I understand. But
Yeah, there's a line item for highway department on-call bonus, and then there's a different one for transfer station on-call bonus.
But the question is, what does one have to do to get that $3,000?
He said it was based on the total number of
This is
storms.
for the transfer station?
This is for the
Oh,
transfer station, that was based on the total number of storms, they would divide it up and give out a certain amount based on how many you had to show up for early for that number of storms.
I'm not questioning
so
the amount
delicate,
or
Billy.
what it is. I don't understand what I have to do as an employee of the transfer station or an employee of the highway department to earn the $3,000. Do I have to stay by my telephone 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, so that if there's a need, I'm available, which means I can't do very much outside of town? something else. And I don't recall what Jason said was the requirement to get either the transfer station bonus or the other bonus. And if one of you
I think
understands
that's a
what's
question
required, that would
specifically
be
for
helpful.
Jason, and we can ask
If
Jason
there's a
to
question,
come in.
somebody should go and refine that answer.
I can go do that for you.
Yeah, I would tend to agree that if you're driving a plow, that's one thing. Showing up early to shovel is not that.
Like, I mean, I'm still fine with some amount of bonus for that, but I don't think it's comparable to what a plow truck driver,
Aren't they hourly employees?
or what?
Aren't they hourly employees? Do they show up early, don't they get paid for their time?
Looks like in transfer station, it's $6,000,
Yeah,
so it's two people?
it's a lot. One's large.
Yeah,
you know,
the
and
plow one.
I mean,
The plow one is $37,800.
yeah, it's $5,400 at the transfer station, so obviously there's a difference
Yeah, number of
on
people.
what's expected and how much compensation each person's getting. The total difference is only $5,400 for the transfer station, so if we ask Jason, then he'll try to clarify that and why.
I'll get that
why
from
this
Jason
is
for
only
you.
this much and this is.
No,
this
it's
much.
6,000.
Well, if it's
It says 3,000 per person.
But the increase,
Yeah, it says- yeah, but the
The-
total.
The difference is 5,400.
Yeah.
I still mention.
so they're asking for $6,000 for transfer
They're
station?
getting $300 now. He's raising it from 300 to 3,000.
Got it.
But I don't understand what they're getting the 300 for, or the 3,000.
Yeah.
What do you have to do to be eligible for that?
Well, it's not as many people, that's the difference.
Yeah,
Yeah.
transfer station is only two,
The difference
looks like
is-
two
yeah,
people.
yeah, yeah, two
If it's
people
the
versus
same
other.
monetary value, is it department-wide
Yeah.
bonuses, if that's
Number
more?
of people versus smaller number of people, I guess.
In highway, there would be X number of people that qualify for getting it, and in transfer, it looks like it's two people.
Yeah.
Yep. That's the sum of the people that are, other,
Tom, just one thing.
oh, go
on
ahead,
that.
sorry.
Just the amount, it's funny how, and this surfaced last time we were talking about that on-call thing, okay? The on-call, and Jason said, he was asked, how come such a big increase? I think you asked it, 300 to 3,000, and Jason just responded, because I think they deserve it. And I hope that where we've had default budgets for 2 years in a row, just the amount of time we've talked about this issue here, that we don't, and the voters, and we don't zero in on that one item and say, ooh, we can't approve this. And that becomes and blows it up.
Sure.
Just so everybody knows, the selectmen in past budgets had allocated for fuel something like $6 a gallon for diesel.
Right.
In this proposed budget, it's down to, I don't know, $3.
Right.
Yeah.
So if the default budget were to go into effect,
They
there'd
get
be a
more
huge
money.
amount of money in those lines, a couple $100,000 for the
Fuel.
highway department, that would be available to them to do, among other things, $3,000 bonuses, if they wish to. Even if there were a default budget.
We would hope that they would return some of that money back to the
Well-
taxpayers.
Even if this is approved, if you look at the highway budget, it's, the proposed budget is like, it's got parentheses around it. It's a decline. from what it was- what
126,000.
The default was last year because of that fuel.
Yep.
So in effect, highway is saying, this is long overdue, we have trouble enough hiring people, we've got a full complement now, we wanna keep a full complement, we wanna keep our roads clear, and this is an opportunity to do that and still end up taking advantage of that fuel money, and the highway budget anyway, a portion of it goes back and is returned, and the rest of it is reallocated within highway to make them whole.
The other thing, other towns are operating in a similar fashion. Last year, we had, across the state and states surrounding us, had a terrible time getting people to plow. And it's, part of it is due to the nature, this change of our small states going where people in town would sign up and help plow your town because that's what you did for the town, whereas now people just assume they should be plowing. So they're having to become a little more creative and enticing.
And my point was only this, it really doesn't matter whether they get the proposed or the default budget, they've got enough money in either to pay those bonuses. So let's not,
But what's interesting is the department heads are really hoping, and the selectmen are, to go for a past budget, because they'd like to see that money out of what's sitting in the default, so that they are in line spending appropriately. That's what they're really, all of them are angling for. They really would like to see us get that budget passed, so that they're not having this surplus of money. They want a real figure budget, which is an interesting philosophy. They would much rather see that. It's important to them to get this budget passed.
Am I misremembering, but I think after some probing questions to Jason about how long since the last increase on the bonus, he had said that, it's been over 10 years that they've had the 300, so it's probably overdue to being raised to some amount. It was a while,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't remember if it was 10 or 15.
It's a long time.
It was,
It's a long time, yeah.
Just to be clear, I have no problem with the plow. So we don't have to talk about that.
I was gonna say that I don't think Kate's issue is with the plow, it's the
Yeah.
transfer
It
station
was
getting the same amount for
Yeah.
not the
Getting the same
equal work.
amount
Yeah.
for,
I'll
if that's what
get
it's
you
for,
answers for that, and then
yeah.
if we really have problems, we can bring Jason
Yeah.
back in.
But regardless of what we may think about it, it's not within our ability to control it. I mean, we can get up and say this is a horrible idea or it's a wonderful idea, but Jason will go ahead and do it regardless of which budget he has.
He'll be able to do it.
He'll be able to do it,
Right.
excuse me, yes.
Yep.
But, so you're aware, our input with them this year is very important. And they want to know, if we don't like something, they want us to tell them we don't like it, so they can have a discussion with us. This has come out in their meetings. They want a very clear discussion with us, which is interesting and it's important. It's a good opportunity for all of us.
I always like to look at the gas, the fuel difference, it's $126,000 for highway department, a reduction because of the price.
Yeah.
And the overall highway department budget is down $43,000, mainly because of that gas. It's not really a reduction in the budget. It only went up $80,000 instead of, some other numbers, a higher number. But the new additions to that budget that help make up that number is $15,000 for guardrails, the $3,000 bonus, and
They got that monitoring program in there again that didn't pass with the budget.
the software.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they can monitor the condition of it.
Yeah, that's 11,000,
Yeah.
yeah. Those are the large things that were, and the salt and sand looks like, it went up a bit, so that's another 16,000. And then there's a bunch of minimal, things that add up, but, there's about a $78,000 gap there when you take away the fuel charge. I mean, you gotta spend something on fuel anyways, we're just spending less. So you can't subtract it out completely, but I always like to look at that. Okay, they dropped 126,000, let's say hypothetically, and, but the budget overall, and that went up. It's like, hold on a second, that's a problem, but this did go down.
Well, it's the same thing with the schools.
Yep.
We don't have the big
The
payment
bond.
for the middle school, the bond payment
The budget should come down.
should come down.
Yeah. Transfer station, same thing. They dropped, the fuel cost went down, where'd it go?
It wasn't much.
No, it's only $4,300 difference. But transfer station went up 91,000, 17%. That's the wheelabrator.
Yes,
The bonus doesn't really factor into that.
that's
It's
contractual.
wheelabrator, that's the hauling, and then hazardous waste day
Fuel surcharge for wait time.
and the wait time. So that whole getting rid of trash is just more and more expensive. Still don't understand the wait time thing is 100%, but why it's an issue. But I know why it's an issue. I don't know how we get out of that.
There doesn't seem to be a good time to arrive and not end up waiting.
Yeah, no, yeah. So, wheelabrator. It's bad.
It's what it is.
Big number. So, I think he did a pretty good job on the highway department, He took advantage of the drop in it, but he didn't, but it's for things that, to me, make sense.
Unreasonable.
The bonus, that's the new one. And then, other than that, is minimal increases in the subsections. Police had the same thing. They had a fuel, they dropped only 3,600. So from a fuel standpoint, fire,
68, 60.
the drop, oh yeah, it's not that much. Did you get a revenue history over time? Is that one of the things we asked for? I'm just curious with how we're in line with prior years.
Beth should be able to give us a breakdown of that, unless you've already got it somewhere.
You've gotten that?
Yeah, I don't think so. Any other discussion on the town budget?
I think the warrant articles are gonna be interesting, other than the cruiser and the plow truck. There's some interesting warrant articles coming in, and I think will generate discussion here.
Separate from the CIP
Yes.
stuff? Yeah.
Yes, that have just come through in the last couple nights. And like I said, the selectmen have to do their homework on some of it.
You propose your capital budget items in
Yes.
addition to what the CIP is
Correct.
suggesting?
Correct.
Capital stuff? Or
No, they would be
These are people things.
contracts, contract. Similar to the library. Salary.
Correct.
Are the police up for a salary?
Contract?
Contract?
No,
Next year.
Next year.
next year.
They're in the third year, out of a 3-year, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got another, it'll be next year, next budget year.
So to review the CIP, unless anybody has anything else on budget,
I just, good. Quick, go back on the insurance. Was there an event that caused the insurance to go up, or was it just the insurance company raising? There wasn't like any kind of specific risk or event that happened to,
Well, first off, they can't disclose that.
okay, fair.
And
Could you describe for Carrie and for the rest of us exactly why our insurance rates go up? In other words, what, is it our particular costs of suits that are settled? Or are we part of a pool such that we get a share of everybody's?
Thank you.
What real insurance is.
Okay, if you have to pick which insurance you want to talk about. If you're talking about
The
health,
one we have.
well, no, but
well, there's
you've got
multiples,
health,
liability.
you've got liability, you've got property casualty. So let's start with health, because that's the one that seems to rear its head a lot. Other than Beth and maybe the selectmen may see some of it, but, those kinds of exposures you don't know. But yes, we are in a pool with other towns. That's what Primex does. And they have this big pool where we all buy insurance from them, and they set the rate. And it's based on all the claims they get. Plus, they add in, because I was a broker, insurance companies will add in an extra percentage to make sure that they don't go under, all right? And I can tell you, in the business world, insurance people watch, and if you don't study and keep an eye on the insurance world, they will just keep nudging you up unless you raise questions and do things, which is why it's important to shop and keep them on their toes, because they think they're one-stop shopping, and that's starting to change across the United States. So with health insurance, we're in a pool. We are also in a pool with,
In a pool means that if we have a huge number
yes,
of claims, it doesn't affect our rate directly, it affects
Affects
everybody's
everybody's rate.
including ours.
correct.
And if we have a very healthy population, but Peterborough has a very sick population,
You're
our
in
rates
trouble.
still go up. We
Correct.
share in their sickness.
Correct. The same goes generally for property casualty, which is your buildings and that kind of stuff. Where the change comes in is when you're dealing with the legal liability. You're not, that's not so much based on a pool as much as it's based on
Activity.
the activity in your town. And we all know Ware has had some years where we were unusually creative in our ability to be in lawsuits. It's a pool, but you get wrapped harder because you were the town that, their
higher
actuaries
risk.
can weigh and look at everything and say, okay, the exposure is X amount. But Ware has been unusually creative with their lawsuits, so we're gonna raise the percentage a little higher. They can do that.
Peterborough, not so.
They would
Very
still get a
thin
raise,
here.
but not as bad. You do, it's like when you go and have too many claims on your car, you've run into one too many people. It does affect the entire pool who has, we'll say you have State Farm. Anybody who has State Farm insurance, if Neil keeps taking out buildings and cars and people, they will see a rate increase, but Neil will really feel it, and then they'll get rid of you, because he's a problem. But because there have, up until recently, have not been a lot of companies that have gotten involved with this, they've had the market. They could do pretty much what they wanted and raise rates higher than the claim exposure, because they could. They're in it to make money. But interestingly enough, towns are starting to get smart. They've got people who know about insurance, and they're starting to raise questions, such as our finance committee has. And as a result, the pressure is on for them to look at other places, and now other insurance companies are starting to open up and look at it because they're looking at it, seeing that it's a viable source. But you have to have, when you go out to market, you've got to have somebody that knows what to ask for in what that, when you put it out to bid, you want to know what the different companies offer, but you also need to be able to look at the exposure rates they've had, what they've had for payouts, and then look to see where companies buy business where it's safe. And a lot of times, if you have an area that hasn't had a lot of claims for schools, they want to get that business as opposed to a school that's always driving the market. It's the same with car insurance, it's the same with homeowners. If you live in Florida, if you live in California, your rates look terrible because you're either shaking and rolling or drowning. And as a result, they want to buy big policies up here because we don't have so many interesting things going on with our exposure.
One other thing you folks should know is that Zach Lawson, who's chairman of both the Stark Board and I believe the school board, gave a presentation to the school, to the SAU board about self-insurance for health.
Self-funding.
We would self-fund this, and just in case we're all getting a heart attack because we get too many sick people. Apparently, the backup is you buy a certain kind of insurance where the insurance company pays off if any claim exceeds
Catastrophic.
X
Yeah.
dollars,
Almost
$1 million.
like
Yeah.
High
Yes.
deductible for
That's
the town.
in essence what it is.
Yes.
And Zach was explaining how this really could reduce rates, especially changes in rates, and how it was,
It works really, really well unless you have too many catastrophics. Say you have
It's an
20.
incentive to reduce those.
Yes.
in any event, he was explaining that this would work with one school district or many school districts. They're in the process of talking to a number of other school districts to see if they can get a larger group going, which presumably would spread the catastrophics.
And, Zach knows this. A lot depends on who your TPA is, your third-party administrator, the person that watches over your plan and how things are
That's what
done.
Zach is,
And,
in his real life.
So I mean,
and he
we're-
can't be involved with it
No.
because,
We're impacted by the liability insurance
Yes.
mostly here. Like, our health insurance isn't really changing a lot, it's our liability.
Yes.
That's where the nut is for this.
The health insurance, isn't it going up like 10 or 15% a year?
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the line items, unless I'm misreading something. I mean, a lot of the line items default proposed are the same.
And when it comes to insurance,
You're comparing default to.
Proposed.
Yeah, but remember, the default on insurance, because that's a legal obligation,
Oh, it's gonna be the
It's going to be the same
same as
as the
proposed,
proposed.
right.
right,
So you have to look at
you have to
last
look
year.
at 2025.
Yep, yep.
but when you're talking about medical insurance, one of the comments I made is most people pay 30 to 40% into their premium every month. The company picks up the rest, whereas in the schools, they only pay 5%. So what we are now doing, we have set ourselves up that their spouses, no matter where they work, are dropping their company insurance because it's cheaper to take ours. So we are buying exposure, big exposure. And that has been one of my complaints with how they negotiate, because they're setting us up to take hits for the medical insurance, which drives your premiums up.
Yeah, they're going up like 10, minimum 10%.
Yeah, I know Merrimack has taken action.
Yes.
To that point, my daughter-in-law's a teacher there, and their insurance, what she has to pay is going up quite a bit this year. because of it.
In dollars or percentages?
Uh,
Dollars
both.
I would expect, percentages,
Both,
both.
yeah.
I think you're saying going from something like 5% to something a
I
little
don't know,
more in
I
line
don't know
with
the
what
amounts,
most
I
people
just
pay.
heard the whining and,
Most of them
which
pay
I
30%
understand.
minimum.
It hurts,
I mean, that's what we pay for my husband's company. But there are trade-offs to that, because they do that, they provide them with breakfast and lunch every day. They have bring people in to cook. And so, but we also have a Cadillac plan. The schools have a Cadillac plan, but they're not paying for it. We are, and now that we're buying all their relatives joining this plan, that's creating huge exposure for us. It's gonna come back to raise our premiums again.
All right.
So having all that additional exposure makes your premiums go up, and then we are footing the majority of the increase
Yes.
from that.
They're gonna go up naturally anyways, a little bit.
Yes, but
yeah.
Yeah, but how many suits we have will really, drive it to 38%,
absolutely.
which is what it is.
I may be incorrect, because I didn't have the school stuff with me, but I thought it was about a 16% increase in the healthcare line
That sounds right.
for insurance.
And again, we've
That
never,
was in the where school.
That's health insurance, right?
Health insurance, yeah.
Right.
And it's just something to keep in mind. Those, both teachers' contracts, when they come in, it's gonna be interesting to look at the pay scales, at the steps, and what the increases are, and how we really look at those, and what's the real increase if you're going up a step from where you already are. It's may not just be the step where you're at. Your pay increase the following year, because you'll have another year in the system, actually goes to the next step, or whatever that increase is, so.
right,
So, that's something, but also, when you're talking about the increases in the health insurance, if they come in, and I don't know what the contracts will say, but if they don't increase their percentage of
contribution.
Contribution rate.
contribution, then if they got no increase, they're already getting an increase.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're getting an increase in the
Right, it's a
the health
percentage.
insurance.
Yes.
Because they're not giving any more, so the taxpayers are supporting that. And I believe the retirement contributions, they're still getting, so you're still getting these other benefits in addition to whatever you want in the salary. So you can't forget the increase.
Well, yeah, it's a pretty low contribution rate, I think, in the contracts today.
Yeah,
I forget, I don't know the
so
number off
it's
the top of my head, but.
It's just, and where that contract didn't pass for Stark last year, I would hope was a shot across the bow to say, hey, enough is enough. Come in with reasonable reasonable request for an increase, and especially when you get two of them coming in the same year. So it'll be interesting to see.
It'll be very interesting to see what this contract is, because the last time they did the big contract, which is what is coming up again, they did not negotiate regarding the percentage of contribution on the insurance. That was not even something they thought
Well, we
about.
don't know that, but it
No,
didn't
'cause
change.
I did have that
Okay,
discussion with them.
okay. All right, if you heard that?
Yes, Jackie and I had that discussion.
Okay,
But we're not there yet. I mean,
Yeah, we're not there
they'll
yet.
meet next Tuesday, with the rescheduled meeting for the 2nd of December. And that contract is on their agenda to be approved by the school committee. That's for the Ware schools. The
Yep.
Ware
Yes.
schools. Everything I'm saying is for the Ware schools, nothing to do with Johnston.
they got the two. So, all right, can we go forward on just hit all the CIP items real quick here?
Yes.
Can I add one more thought about the budget,
Yep,
total budget?
sure.
So this is just something that doesn't quite sit right with me, and maybe nobody else agrees, but I don't like it when, lines are put in the budget for non-necessary training. You know, if it's not something that's required to maintain a certification or something, to have non-necessary training that then leads to, an increase in salary because you've now made it up to the next level of the position. So the taxpayers are paying for position. I don't wanna also pay for somebody's training to then have them make more money.
Where are you on this?
There was a line for that in fire budget. Neil specifically asked, is this just for mandatory training, or also elective? And he said elective. A lot of that bumps you up into different pay categories that then we're obligated
Well,
to.
this is going to be an interesting point, both in the budget and what's coming in with the warrant article for fire, because it conflicts with what's been going on with the union for PD. So they are gonna have to talk to legal, the Board of Selectmen are gonna have to really think about this. So it's going to be interesting.
Just
But
in
you're
general,
right.
I don't care what department it is.
Right.
I don't personally like to see that. I would like you to, hire for a position that has some set of requirements and then not pay for them to get additional.
Well, the schools do it all the time.
Well, I don't like that either.
So you don't want to have better trained fire department?
No. I want them to be trained when we hire them. I don't want to pay for people who are hired in one position to now get bumped up into a different position.
Even though they're better trained and can serve you better?
I don't know if they can. I don't know.
We can't afford to get a top-notch, fully trained, out-of-the-gun, be able to do everything here and where. We don't have that kind of budget. And when you are in town like this, you are happy to have people learn and there's some issues with the state, but firefighter 1 and firefighter 2 are important so that they know what to do with the hose and the truck and the whole 9 yards. But firefighter 3 gives them so much more comprehension on how to deal with chemicals and things. That kind of training for that kind of job requires constant training because they're dealing with life and death stuff that shifts all the time. And they're dealing with chemicals that you and I don't deal with. So that training is very, very important. And as you take more training, and it's in any company, if you train, it does nudge you up to the next level because they want you to learn, they want you to excel. If you stop that process in a town, we'll go back to call firefighters if they can't train, we won't have them either, and then I don't know who's gonna come run and save us when we got a problem.
So we should pay the full cost of people that have training.
We can't
Even though
afford
we
them.
have to pay for our own college or whatever to go get a job.
Well,
That's not quite the same thing. By the way, I happen to agree with you, but I want to make the counter argument.
Okay.
The argument is, from the fire department's point of view, I want better trained people. Not just people who are trained for whatever they're doing, whatever their particular classification is. I want them to be as well trained as possible. If, as a consequence of that extra training, which I think benefits the people who wear, they qualify for a higher salaried position, so be it. But that's not my purpose. My purpose is to make sure that you get the best trained people possible.
I'm okay with them getting paid more for a more trained for their more trained abilities if they paid for the training themselves.
Most people in the fire world start out either as call firefighters, or they come in a training program, and the town pays for them to go to firefighter 1 and firefighter 2. That's not unusual anywhere in this state and in most states. It is not like going to college where some people get scholarships, some people put themselves through school, some people split it. That's a totally different issue. This is about a job, just like engineering. There are different seminars you go to as an engineer because they want you to be able to design stuff a certain way. But that's part of what happens in those jobs, and it is a requirement. But the town of Ware cannot afford to bring in a top-notch, fully blown level 4 firefighter. We don't have that kind of money, and we can't afford it. So we have to
We're in
get a grip
repetition
on
mode
that.
now.
Yeah, that's fine. We
We're
don't
saying
have
the
to
same
agree
thing.
on it. I just wanted to put it out there that that's a thought I have about the budget.
Yep.
The fire chief could have done a better job by saying what you said, right? He could have explained these.
But I talk more than he does.
Well, I'm just saying, he, could have explained his position better.
Yeah.
Also with these positions, I immediately think of liability, because of just the nature of what they do. So for instance, if someone isn't properly trained and someone's house catches on fire and they don't know how to plug in the hose or something, and we found out this person was watching YouTube videos, so they're trying to save a couple bucks, and now we have a $10 million lawsuit, if not more, and now we have to defend that regardless of what way it goes. And that could cost the town significantly more just based on defense, never mind going in with whether that be nominal or not, of a budget to allocate per head training just to meet those safety standards, which is what I see in regulated industries and private sectors, that it's not so much the person, it's based on the regulatory boundaries that have to be sustained in order for that to move forward. And you see that inefficiencies across finance all the time, that you pay heads just to get them licensed and trained, they're stupid, very non-productive, but you gotta get them licensed, and so you just push them through the chain. And that's a safety, regulatory, you actually get deductions on insurance and all of that, just to have them properly licensed and trained. So I would look at it as more of a risk mitigation strategy for the town, but I don't know. Those are just my 2 cents.
Where to next, Tom? We beat that one to
Yeah,
death.
we're beating that one pretty good.
Where would you like to go next to vlog?
Anywhere
I'll
else.
just go into the CIP now. Portable ventilator, $50,000, that's being paid from the ambulance special revenue fund. So no direct impact, well, no tax impact for the taxpayers, that's paid through ambulance fees. That's the fund setup. Was there any thoughts on that people had? Any pain points?
No, they're important.
Yeah.
If they're paying for it, that's good.
There's money in it, there's money enough for it.
Yep.
And they clarified it's different than the item that was approved last year.
Right.
And they made that distinction.
Hoping next time for replacement, they also draw from the ambulance fund.
For that,
Yeah, you
yeah.
said it's a 10-year life. I hope they don't ever try to include it in the budget.
Let me also make a point, who's on the town subcommittee, this is a good time to take notes on people's thoughts and, jot down some things that, when it comes time to, you guys are gonna have to put together the recommendation
Who
write-ups.
else is on the town besides me? Oh.
Carrie, Maria,
Okay.
Jess, so I think it's 4. Anyways, last year, I wish I had done more of that on the fly, and, because you gotta come back and figure out how to write up the recommendation and if we do a minority report. So now's a good time to take some pertinent notes on some comments, but.
I really wish that things that we buy so I know the ambulance fund is meant for purchasing new equipment, then I wish we could use those funds to also maintain the equipment that we purchase with those funds, because we're buying this, which, like, it's a necessary buy, and then, but then we're gonna be maintaining it with taxpayer money. The same is true for the machines we bought last year. There was something like a $7,000 line for maintenance for that, what we bought last year in the budget this year. So, I know that's not how the fund works right now, but I don't know if it could be changed by
Well, you gotta have
warrant to-
money in it to be able to do that, and if you expend everything out of that budget, there's no money. So when you need a,
Maintenance costs are lower, then it's not like buying a whole new unit.
right,
There's 5 years of maintenance included in this one too.
and we
I'm just saying,
actually,
because we
We
say
will pay.
on the warrant that there's zero tax impact,
Yep.
but there is a tax
It's
impact
future.
in the future
Yeah.
that is not
Possibly.
included.
Possibly.
There's always gonna be maintenance.
but I mean, they've actually.
Right, but they could pay it through the ambulance fund,
They
we
can't
don't
pay
know.
it to
If-
them.
unless-
That's what I'm saying, I wish we could.
Unless the fund lets them. So if
Okay.
it says purchase and it doesn't say purchase
It
and
only says
maintenance,
purchase new.
yeah, so then you can't use that money for maintenance.
And that's partially so that we don't blow out our funds. The town has a history where we've done that before, and we're trying to get on track with our capital reserve funds, whether it's the ambulance fund or anything else, so that you don't wipe them out and you've got them when you need the big purchases.
Okay.
All right, anything else on that one?
No, we killed
Pretty
enough.
simple one. That's a good point, though. I mean, you gotta look at all future costs, right? The 9-month, 12-month thing, you know, now we're all putting the 12-month cost in there because it's a real cost, you know? It's gonna hit us at one way or the other. You buy something, you wanna know what it's gonna cost to maintain it.
I just think it's disingenuous to say that it's zero
Assuming Neil's not
cost,
driving the fire
zero
truck.
taxpayer impact.
It would be 0 for 5 years in this case.
Yeah.
But after that. All right, the cistern got blown out of the CIP this year, so there's no discussion on that. That was it for fire, so we're to the 10-wheel plow truck replacement. $20,000 offsetting revenue from capital reserve fund makes it a $260,000 truck.
Did they not say it though, that piece, I went back looking, I couldn't find it, but it stuck out. And you pointed it out, where they say necessary, not urgent, I thought
He changed
He
it.
they
changed it.
changed it, didn't
Yeah,
they say?
he said it was a typo.
They had to change it.
I haven't completely lost it, okay.
Yeah, because one of the reasons is they took a truck that went down and literally took it apart to go fix other trucks, so it no longer existed,
That's
so
what I'm
yes, they need the truck.
And it was, the police had an item that was blank, and he put necessary in there on
Yeah.
the carport.
Yeah.
So that was blank and was defined. These, Jason said they're all urgent. He changed them all. Put together a history of no plow trucks, no cars, or whatever, year by year. That was very helpful. A long stretch of no trucks, which we're paying for now. That was handy.
The plow truck that they're looking at replacing is pretty old, right?
Yep.
What year was that?
2008 Volvo, I think, is, or by the time he gets the truck, it'll be whichever one is, whichever the oldest one is that's not running.
Yeah.
But on the one, it was, he was gonna have to, if he doesn't get a plow truck,
50 or 70,000?
$50,000 to replace the whole bed on it.
So that was the
Six-wheeler.
2008 Volvo.
50,000.
But I thought he said he wasn't
Well,
actually
this
gonna
is-
do that.
Oh, you're right.
He was gonna find another way. I was like, cause I
Oh,
don't, he said,
yeah.
cause he said he didn't wanna put 50K
Thousand
into
into that.
something that would then
Okay.
get potentially replaced the next year. He was like, I'll find a way, but it won't be that way.
Oh, okay. Let me stand corrected on that.
That's not what he said.
That's not what he said?
No. He said he didn't want it.
But he
But he
gonna-
would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, that's what I thought, yeah.
And the other thing is,
I've been trying to be quiet, man.
you
Just
know,
listening, but a couple things.
the last storm we had, and I'd like some input from you because Jason is not here, they did pretty well with the first storm out of the gun.
I had no complaints. I was the other.
Well, I mean, somebody's truck
Depends on who you
flipped
ask.
over on Twining Bridge, and it wasn't ours, thank goodness. But, we didn't have any trucks die in that one. And that's important with our fleet
Yeah,
right now.
define
You
pretty
don't know what he
good.
had to do when they got back to the shop either. How much they had to fix and go over based on that one storm.
Yes,
Like how many man hours did they spend getting the truck back in service enough that it can go to the next storm?
we have a very unique highway department. Jason used to be in charge of all the maintenance. He was the repair guy. And we have some very talented people that double as all our highway stuff, but they are also our maintenance crew, which saves us a ton of money. But it's, when you have a truck go down in a storm, these are the people that you need to pull off things in order to get things fixed, and it's a nightmare. So we're very lucky. But it's a very old fleet, and it's costing us. Next.
I think, in my opinion last year, it's just me, was, I voted against the truck, and I voted for the police cruiser, and it was sort of like, we'll do a truck next year. Unfortunately, the cruiser failed the voters, so they both failed, because it's a lot. But, you know, now we need both, unfortunately.
Yeah. No, what we said no last year was, it was just, everything else that was converging, and
Yeah.
when we did our numbers, it said,
Yep, we
boy,
gotta take something out.
take something out.
Yeah.
So, in my mind, there's no way we said no this year.
No, we skipped a year, and we shouldn't, you know, we can't afford to skip 2 years.
Yeah, we can't, you look at the history, we had about 5 years in a row there in the teams.
Like 6.
Over 10, 5 or 6, yeah.
Yeah.
And we're
Back
paying
about 10
for
years
it big
ago.
time.
And it's, yeah, we have to buy one, we have to buy one this year, we have to recommend that we buy one this year.
Yeah, 2008 is, it's a long time. I don't really-
What are we replacing with PD, I call them the little cars? Well, we have,
The
we're getting
Chargers?
SUVs, and those Chargers are costing us big money.
Yeah.
Oh, now you're talking police now.
Yeah, they're just,
We'll get there.
Going back to my earlier comment, it was Jason that put it in his PowerPoint about the years that no truck was purchased, 2009 to 14, 6 years. That's where I saw it.
and that's when we really ran into troubles.
9 to 14, yeah. Okay, any other thoughts about the truck? Keeping the clock in there? Road reconstruction, 700K, but our cost would be 416 due to the state kick-in, so.
Jack was saying we needed something like $1 million a year to maintain our existing, and I may have that number wrong, but it's a very substantial increase, to maintain our roads. Anything less than that was allowing them to fail slowly.
Yes.
Didn't Benji,
And this is after we spent $3 million on that
Yeah.
pond.
but when Benji was road agent, didn't he go through, maybe, I think it was Benji, maybe it was his predecessor, they went through and they listed all the roads and showed all the conditions, and then they talked about, you know, yes, we're fixing this and we're fixing that, but while we don't have more money to fix this, and as a result, this one's gonna go crap out real quick, and it's very interesting.
And relying on that, Jack made his comment.
Yes. And Jack's been here, he was born here, so he knows how.
Well, I think he and Benji did the survey before to support, to do the groundwork to support the bond that got passed.
Okay.
And I had it written down, it was like 1.2.
Because I'm gonna,
1.2?
1.2 is what
That
Jack
was the
had
bond.
said.
I'm gonna guess in the next couple of years, we're gonna see another bond for that.
1.2 for all the roads?
No, the
Just
1.2 was to
specifics.
maintain, so you didn't have to do reconstruction, which
Yeah,
is
yeah,
the
to
big
maintain,
dollar.
yeah.
Yeah.
But that was all the roads, or just the red ones,
No,
or
just
some subset? It was everything.
But 700, I mean, people see it keep going up, and they say, why does it have to keep going up? Can't we pause that one? And
Jason said we were-
if you wanna get into full reconstruction where you tear it up and rebuild it, and it costs a gazillion bucks more than just putting the overlays on, then
It's like a house. You have to maintain it or it's
that's
gonna
right.
fall down on your head.
Pay me now or pay me more later.
Yeah.
as we said many times, roads are important. When you're in a rural town and you gotta commute to get to work and you love country living, you gotta have them plowed and you gotta have them maintained.
So, in the minutes, if we maintain all 97 miles and resurface a road each year, that brings the average needed to 970K. And he's asking for less than that. I think, I also heard $1 million a mile to rebuild a road. That's
Yeah.
the other $1 million number I heard.
And the fact that the kind of blacktop we get now, the grade of blacktop, is so very different from 10 years ago. They've taken so much out of it, the good stuff out of it, that it's just not the same quality
same,
that it
that's
used
right,
to
yeah.
be. You know, it's meant to fall apart. But it certainly costs more.
This one's always a no-brainer to me, but,
But
as long as it, the road reconstruction, as long as it balances with the actual cost of the maintenance, which it's less than, so. Anybody else on this one?
Is this the last year of the bond? Or did we finish that last year?
Well, the bond's been paid off.
Okay.
I believe, right? Nope, stop me if I'm wrong.
no, the bond's gone. It's the school that.
The school is the last
Okay.
year, but the road bond,
I have a question about the block grants from the state. If anybody knows, does the more we spend, are they matching a certain percentage, or are they just giving us a percentage of what we're spending? Like, how does that, do you know how we get those grants?
The state amount that comes back,
Neil?
how that's determined.
That's
As I recall, it's based on mileage and another factor, and it's a universal formula
Yeah.
that applies across the state.
and let me correct the statement a minute ago. This is the last, next year will be the last year of the garage bond. And the road preservation bond has 4 more years. They've got numbers in here for 26 through 29.
Garage isn't out this year?
Garage is next year, 2026? What's that? Oh, yeah, 2026 for the garage, so there's one more payment on that. Road preservation, and this is in the CIP presentation at the end. There's still 4 more payments of $250,000 roughly. It goes down a little bit each year, but. So we're not out of the woods yet on that one.
Next.
Too many bonds, can't keep track of which one's in. I know the middle school is done this year, has been done now this year.
Yes,
No payment next year.
but they're keeping the money in there, right?
Well, that's,
Different story for a
that's,
different day.
that's next meeting, we'll talk about that. We'll ask, we can ask that question. Cruiser.
Need a cruiser.
Skip scales.
Yeah, do you wanna talk?
Oh,
about
I'm sorry,
scale?
scales, my mistake. And that's coming out of the transfer station special revenue fund, it's $100,000. So, no immediate tax impact, there could be future. But that one is gonna generate some revenue.
So that one, Jason specifically said they were gonna price it so that the people who use it pay for the maintenance.
Yep.
Pay for the replacement. Are they gonna put $100K back into the recyclables fund to pay for the initial purchase, or?
I don't think that
So
was.
that is everybody paying for the initial purchase, and then all future costs are
Maintenance,
made
is what
by,
he said, yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
Who's gonna pay who's gonna pay to maintain it,
okay.
is what I heard.
And to buy the next one.
Won't be covered.
We've got a few days
It's
for
20
that.
years.
But we will all pay for the
Yeah.
initial one.
Correct.
Right.
Eventually, yes.
Out of that fund. There'll be $30K left in the fund after this purchase, so theoretically, there's $130K in that fund right now.
And if I recall, he mentioned it would make it more efficient, where folks right now are like fighting with them based on like the weight, and so it'll speed up the process, which will
Oh,
save
yeah.
time, will increase productivity, increase cash flow.
think the big thing is it makes sure that people are paying the fair amount for the trash removal. Right now, there's the offset, so it was like, what, 91,000, I believe, was the cost that we were off.
I mean, you've got some people that are happy to let them go assess any way they want. Some people are better assessing than other people. And then there are people that try to hide a lot of what they're
Yeah,
bringing in with
Put the
other
heavy
stuff.
stuff below the fluff on top.
Because they don't want to have to pay for their share, and, you know, it's,
It's a pretty impossible task to lay on the guy there. when-
It is.
Yeah.
So
Exactly right.
Yeah.
I don't fault our guys, the employees.
and really, sometimes they take some heavy shelling from people, and
Yeah.
they shouldn't.
I think you also looked at how people from other towns, or people who may work on something in Ware, if they know that they can get away with dumping at the Ware landfill, I think that was also discussed.
Yeah.
You may have people, hey, go to Ware, because you don't have to pay as much to dump your stuff. So,
Yeah, other
That-
tons have put a
that would-
moratorium on
Page 26.
not
That
letting
would,
people haul in from any place else other than if it's their
level the
town
playing
trash.
field is,
And that's important to level that, you're right.
pounds in equals pounds out.
Yep. And it should only be coming and generated from here, it shouldn't come from anybody else's
Oh,
town.
that was way off.
As long as Jason can figure out how to make the traffic pattern work, that's beyond, that's not our daily
No.
work.
No.
But that's,
Yeah, you just don't want to incur future expenses for a bad location.
Correct.
yeah,
That's, yeah. So that, it looks like so far this year, expenses and revenue are only off by $150.
Yeah.
According to this, it's 30,000 a couple of years ago.
Interesting.
Yeah, there was a big problem in 2023, and it got better. Yeah, Jason
Like, it's much better.
managed it.
Yeah, I don't remember what I was thinking then.
Overall,
Right.
36,000, but most of that's 2023. That's an irregularity.
Blame it on
I could've
COVID.
sworn somebody said
Yeah.
earlier this year that they were
Yeah.
in a big deficit, but.
I'm remembering the same thing.
They might be trying to recover from
It
2023?
doesn't make as much sense if they're not actually losing money. I was all gung ho, I was like, oh, wait, they're not actually losing money.
Does anybody have the fund balance sheet for current? I thought I had it.
You have an email with it.
It's an email? All right, I can get it. I just wanted to see what was in that fund.
Over there.
And we're taking 100,000 out of it, what's left? I wrote,
It was about 30.
I wrote down
That's what
30K.
Beth said.
Yeah. I mean, it's important that we look at the source of funds, even if it's not taxes, that
Yep.
the funds are being, the funds that's being taken out of are managed. And that we see, like the ambulance, we look closely at that every year, but I never look at this one. I found the email. So this was the transfer station special revenue.
Do you know when these numbers were from? Because it's only about, it's not even half, the tonnage is not even half of what was in previous years.
Yeah, it's low. That's to date, but it's pretty much at the
I
end
guess
of the
this
year.
was, well, it's probably when they first put the CIP together.
This is November.
It would've
Yeah.
been
Well,
Back in
yeah.
That was
July
back,
or something.
yeah, we
and
don't,
the
should-
figures have been, I don't know if they've been revised, but I know that Jason said some of the figures that CIP had come up with were not accurate.
So, in the Board of Selectmen meeting, there was a comment that the non-discretionary items, the trash disposal was short 51,000. I believe that's what my memory's.
it's trash disposal.
But that might have been the wheelbarrow.
That's Wheelbury, yeah. And that would be from the wait time fees and things like that. Yeah, that sounds familiar. That sounds right.
Okay.
The fund balance sheet doesn't have balances on it. I mean, it's,
Oh, it didn't have,
It just has,
The description.
yeah, it doesn't have numbers on it. We usually get one from Beth. And I thought I got one, but I guess I didn't. I can ask her.
I think it was in the minutes from last time, that when we asked her in the last meeting, she said there'd be 30,000 left.
Yeah, I wrote that down. I think she said that too, so. Okay.
Next.
Cruiser. Now to the cruiser. It's a $60,000 taxpayer figure.
Going back to the scale. Jason said he would charge enough to cover the cost of disposing of the trash and depreciation on the machine, so that enough money to replace the machine. Does that, the problem, I think, may be that the money to replace the machine is going to go back, it won't go back into the fund from which the machine was purchased, because it's a fee that he's charging. And the total fee presumably would go into revenue to support his budget, but it wouldn't go back into the fund from which the scale was purchased.
What percentage of it?
You think they can do that?
Yeah.
I think that's.
It's 50.
Of revenue coming into the transfer station, a certain percentage goes back into this fund.
But I thought that was a different,
I-
that's a different mechanism.
Is that just the recycling, that
think it's
50%
just the
of the recycling?
Oh, that's just recycling, you're right. That's not,
That's recycling.
You've got the fund sheet, do you have the fund sheet? Read the
Oh, yeah.
recyclables fund.
Transfer station equipment, revolving fund, facilitating recycling, all revenues received from fee-based recycle items at the transfer station will be deposited, so it's 100.
So we're not recycling this stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
so it's just recycling,
It's-
okay.
This is not recycling, this is,
So
Yeah.
we might want to mention to the selectmen to figure out if there's some way to take that part of the fee, which is designed to replace the equipment, and put it into the equipment fund. Otherwise, it'll reduce taxes, which is fine, but when it comes time to replace the scale, the
Right,
fund won't have the money that it should,
right.
that people have paid into it.
So they need to look into how to write that up.
so, just so I'm clear, the fees that we collect will go to pay for the disposal, plus some overhead that we will keep, right? If he charges up a little bit, there'll be some revenue
Correct.
generated out of that. That
Right.
goes into the general fund, right?
I believe that that's what will happen, because I don't think that money can go into the other fund, which is strictly
But they can
financed
set
by
up,
recycling revenue.
they can
This is
set
not
up-
recycling.
No,
they can set up an account for it.
but there's no,
I think they'll have to put it in the warrant article, right?
it would have to be, to create a fund, you'd have to do a warrant article or to
Yeah.
change a fund, right?
But isn't it our,
I don't know how it could be done, but the selectmen can check with the attorney
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
find out. But the point is, it should be done.
yes,
We don't want to have to take general tax dollars 20 years from today.
no, people will be upset.
I heard Jason say that he was gonna charge additional to pay for the maintenance of the scale, not the replacement of it.
I thought he said maintenance and replacement.
Both?
That's what I was under the impression of.
You could ask the guy back there.
I'm pretty sure it's maintenance and replacement.
Both? Okay, good.
So that's got to go into some,
Gotta go somewhere
Got
to-
to
in
go
order
in a
to use
capital
it.
reserve fund or
the
something.
maintenance can go into the budget,
Yeah,
but the replacement shouldn't.
no, it's gotta go into another account.
Still kind of a little open-ended.
It's a job for you.
Because those have to be tested. It's not just maintenance, it's testing.
Calibration.
Yes,
So that's all part of that fee structure that I think he was talking about. And I'm not sure the mechanism for allocating those funds into certain,
that's why you have an attorney.
yeah, I don't know what the mechanism is for making sure the funds go back into that. But pretty sure that it can go into the scale replacement fund, whatever you wanna call it. If it's a special reserve fund or if it's,
There's a special revenue fund and there's a
special revenue fund.
transfer station equipment fund.
But it has to be set up.
There might be funds set up for it, but you'd have to,
But I think that's just an accounting maneuver, not anything based on what you're using. How do I put this? When you collect the fee,
Yeah,
as long as it's accounted for the correct way, you should be able to put it into that revenue fund.
As long as the fund, the language of the fund allows you to
That's
do
what I'm
that.
saying.
Yeah,
yeah.
right. So that should be looked into, so that we can accumulate that money over time. Otherwise, it's just.
It was my understanding that that was all gonna be in those fees that we charge for the,
But it
for the week.
hasn't been set up yet, so you need to get clarification on that, how that's being done. Because that's gonna come up at deliberative in a bunch of other places.
Yeah, or
Yeah,
if it, make sure it works the way that everybody thinks it might work,
Because if it doesn't, it's gonna be a mess.
yeah.
There was some confusion on that last year too, about the plan for that money, so should be ideally locked down a little bit. So that people feel comfortable that we are saving for that
Yeah, so you
How'd
need,
the money get in there now?
into the fund that we're paying this out of.
The recycling.
Where's that $135,000?
that's the recycling fund money.
No, we're paying we're paying special revenue, not recycling.
Oh, okay.
What's the short?
Well, I'm sorry, well,
That's my question, what's
it's
the source of
conflation.
that money?
50% of the revenues from recyclables go into
Yeah.
into that fund, so yes. It's not a recyclable fund per se, but it comes from recycling, you're right.
Unless you're defining that as recycling.
That's why Jason wants to move 100% over.
Wouldn't solve the problem.
But you need to check with the lawyer on it to make sure that it's all clean. You're gonna need to do that sooner instead of later, because as it starts coming forward, there's gonna be more questions. So, whoever dials up the lawyer needs to.
There's a transfer station equipment fund, which is capital reserve, right?
Source of income.
It just said, it doesn't say, it just says to replace a demolition trailer, so that's from 2001, so that might just be hanging out there, we don't.
Procured it, you got the voters to approve it, and then when you bought it, then have some money left over for that.
Oh, okay.
But the fund could still be,
This year, you got 20,000, help offset it.
the fund could still be active, yeah, might not have been shut down, and maybe the language allows for this sort of thing, I don't know. Something to look into.
As long as all the money that you take in doesn't go into the
Something else.
General fund.
transfer station fund.
Yeah.
Because right now, that